enough to get them to the rendezvous point before dawn, before the life leaked out of him completely. I don't want to die in a foreign spirit land. Just then, the driver swung the wheel wildly, forcing the car to swerve right, barely missing two ghosts in long grey frocks. The cab careened down a short flight of cobblestone stairs before reconnecting with an actual road and accelerating again. Shigidi fell back into his lover's lap, and his head bounced against the car door so hard he feared for a moment it had cracked open. His vision went blank, and he wasn't sure if it was because he had closed his eyes or if the impact had damaged something in his head. But he didn't really care. Everything hurt. "Careful!" she shouted at the driver as she pressed her hand into Shigidi's and pulled his head into her bloody bosom. "Sorry, I'm doing my best, dear love," the driver called back. "But in case you haven't noticed, we are being chased by 4 living statues and 1 pissed-off giant." She ignored the driver and whispered into Shigidi's ear. "Hold on, darling. I love you. Do you hear me? I love you. Just hold on. Everything will be okay. We are almost there." Stunned, he forced his lead-heavy eyelids open and looked up into her large, wet eyes, shimmering with a glaze of tears and the reflection of bright yellow spirit particles. He wanted to embrace her and tell her he loved her too, the way he'd always imagined he would when she finally said the words to him. But he was short one arm, and his mouth couldn't form the words. His tongue felt swollen and numb in his mouth, saturated with the sharp taste of iron and clay. He could still hear her. He was still mostly there, but her voice sounded woolly and far away, and the galaxy of blurry lights reflected and refracted around him were becoming too bright. He could barely feel his arm or his legs or his face or his anything anymore. "I guess my time is running out even faster than I thought." He hacked out a blood-stained cough. "But it's not too bad. I suppose there are worse ways to die than in the arms of someone you love." A force slammed into the vehicle with a deafening sound, like an explosion made of other explosions. The driver let out a primal scream that Shigidi could barely hear above the cacophonous violence of metal crunching against metal, the shattering of glass, the screeching of rubber on asphalt. In that moment he knew they were done for. He focused on the thing that mattered most to him. Her. His eyes remained fixed on her face as the world around them turned into a chaotic galaxy of smoke and metal and glass. And then, when he could barely see her anymore, he shut his eyes against the army of white lights, invading his consciousness, and braced himself for what he was sure would be the final endless fall into nothing. "I love you too, and I'm sorry for everything. This is not how I thought this would end." Chapter 2. 3 days earlier. Perhentian Kecil Island, Terengganu, Malaysia. July 2nd, 2017. 8:47 a.m. The beach was beautiful in the bright light of late morning. Powdery white sand hugged the arc of the island, transforming through low surf into turquoise crystal where it kissed the water. A widely spaced succession of small, brightly colored boats, mostly fiberglass utility models, and a few wooden longtails with equally colorful sashes draped around their prows, rocked gently in the shallow water. They were tethered to the beach by a sparse web of colored synthetic fiber ropes and rusty metal anchors. A lovely sprinkle of reflected colors danced on the edge of the turquoise like it was bleeding rainbows. Beyond the beach line rose a lush green island. An array of bold, brown wooden bungalows perched on the elevated rocks peeked out of the forest like curious children. There was a smattering of young people up and down the beach, mostly tanned European and quiet Southeast Asians in their 20s and 30s, lying on plastic beach chairs under colorful parasols or under the sun on the sand. Around them were the usual debris: seaweed, cigarettes, seashells, beer cans, and the charred remnants of a bonfire from the previous night's fire dance. Shigidi and Nnoma stood out.